Hi everyone, welcome back to another Cocoa Flow. This one is going to be Yin inspired. So we're going to stay really close to the ground, holding poses, asanas for a couple of minutes, which should hopefully make you feel very nourished, very grounded. I know for me personally, I'm trying to lean into rest, especially considering my cycle, because I'm always one to push even when I don't feel like I have the energy. And I often find that I actually do a disservice to myself. Maybe you are in the same boat as me, but this class will really help us slow down and make us feel really good. We're going to start in a child's pose. Definitely bring in some props if you had them around. I've got a bolster and 2 blocks, but if you didn't have any props, then that's also okay. So in our child's pose, if you had a bolster, you can bring it along lengthways. And then if you had a block or 2, what you can do is put this underneath the top of the bolster. As you lie your head down and your torso down, you can slide your hands underneath the gap between the bolster and the blocks. And maybe it's your temple that lies down, or maybe it's the forehead, just whatever feels comfortable for you. Knees as narrow or as wide as feels comfortable. So if you wanted to, you could slide the knees even wider. Almost like you're coming into a frog pose, but not quite. Closing down the eyes if you haven't already. And taking some slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. And as we breathe in, we're aiming for the back of the ribs, the side of the ribs here. Letting them inflate. And then as we exhale, letting the breath out. Every breath, every exhalation, an opportunity to sink a little deeper. To let go of tension within the muscles. Or just be here for another couple of minutes in stillness. Focusing on the breath and slowing it down. Notice where you might be holding tension. Maybe it's in the shoulders or around the hips. Maybe it's in the face. Letting these muscles untense. Dropping your weight towards the ground or the bolster. Let's take 2 more cycles of breath here. And then just slowly starting to walk yourself up. If you've got the blocks underneath the bolster, just remove them to the front. Draw your knees inwards, and then if you did have the bolster, then flip it around so it's horizontal. Extend your right leg up and over the bolster so that the knee crease is in the middle of the bolster. Left foot inside of the right thigh. Take a deep breath in as we lift up tall. As we exhale, let's fold forward over our right leg. If you didn't have a bolster, you can absolutely do this without. The bend in the knee helps for our pelvis to tilt forward. So you might be able to notice that your heart, your chest is more forward on the legs than usual. Tuck the chin in towards the chest. Leaning the back of the neck, also lengthen. Arms wherever feels comfortable. Keep slowing the breath down. Allowing for the body to feel more and more relaxed as we hold. Two more breaths. Start to walk yourself back. Swap the legs around, so left leg forward. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Leaning forward. You might feel something down the back of the leg, the hamstring. That's where I'm feeling this today. You might feel something in the right hip, maybe the adductor. You might feel something along the back of the body, the spine. Let's go 3 more breaths. Walk your hands back. We're going to come down into shavasana just for a moment to rebound, to rest. So lying down onto your back, maybe you have the bolster underneath your knees. Maybe you are just lying down on the ground. Letting the front of the hips open up slightly. Letting the back of the body, the head, shoulders, hips, legs be heavy towards the ground. Two more breaths. Maybe bring the hands by the thighs, pushing the elbows down. Let's roll ourselves up again. Just shuffle your feet behind you. Keep the bolster where it is if you had that, or whatever you're using, a pillow. We're going to set up for our pigeon pose or our swan. So let's bring the right leg in front, and if you have the bolster, it will come in front of the bolster so that your hips are lifted. And then we're going to stay elevated for the first wee bit. If you had blocks, you might bring them on top of your hands, underneath your hands, sorry. Roll the shoulders back, lift up the chest. If this feels quite challenging for the hips, maybe you lift them up a little bit higher, stack some pillows. Just feeling some openness through the left hip potentially, the front of the hip flexors, maybe the right hip, the glutes, maybe the abdominals or the chest. One more deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the nose. We're going to fold forward, so move the blocks to the side. Lower yourself down, maybe it's onto the elbows. One more option here, if you want to twist, you can thread your left hand through to the right, dropping the left shoulder in the direction of the ground. Another nice option here, if you did have a block, is bringing it underneath your forehead, whether you're just folding forward or twisting. Slow, deep breaths here. One more breath. Walk your hands back. To change to the other side, let's sweep the left leg around. Bend it. Right leg to the back. Again, if this position of the hips feels quite uncomfortable, you can absolutely stack multiple underneath. You could also bend the back knee and kind of fold more over your left shin, left foot. Let's find our elevated position first. It's a really subtle draw of the shoulder blades down the back, creating length through the neck. Also a very subtle twist of the right hip forward, the left hip back. One more deep breath here. Let's fold forward, bringing blocks to the side, leaning the upper body down, maybe stacking the forehead on top of wrists, or you can bring your block back in. Another option is to twist the right hand towards the left. Let's take about 2 more breaths. Start to walk yourself back. Sweep your right leg around. We're going to head down onto our back for our final position. You might keep a bolster, a block, a pillow underneath your hips, either for supported bridge, or you could extend the legs out a little longer. Of course, you could also be in shavasana here as well. If you've noticed your mind wander off, can you notice where it's wandered to? And then see if you can gently, sweetly encourage it to come back to the breath, knowing that we're only going to be here for a couple more moments. this is where I'll leave us in our practice today. If you did have a little bit longer to remain in this position or to head into shavasana, then feel free to. I encourage you to do so. Take that extra time to rest. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to breathing and moving and connecting with you on the next class. See you next time.